Okay, so a lot of the Terry players that I've been playing with and coaching recently have been letting me know that one of their biggest issues when they're trying to get better with this game is struggle that they have universally when it comes to whiff punishes and stuff like that. I do think that there's a certain layer of this and definitely a level of it that just comes from being better at your footsies, like being able to walk back and forth in the space and understanding when the opponent is standing at a bad range so that if they go for something, you can punish it. You know, walking and stuff like that is definitely a big factor. Another thing you can take advantage of in this game, definitely utilize to give yourself, you know, better spacing, is to on purpose go for certain pressure strings, stuff like that, that can leave you with the exact spacing you want. For instance, if we're just walking back and forth here, let's say I'm just going back and forth, I'm waiting for this player to make a decision, right? Like we're like both in this range, we don't know what to do. You know, the game's moving fast. Two characters are moving, you're watching two different areas of the screen consistently move. It's a little bit harder to understand when your normal might need to be thrown out or when they might throw out a normal and you might be standing in the bad range. You know, maybe that's a moment where you're not blocking and you get hit low. So that's definitely a difficult thing to think about in this game, and it definitely comes with time. I think you can definitely, just the more you play, get more comfortable with this. But what I would like to explain today is a few different options from Terry to help you guys get the accurate spacing that you actually want off of your normals, and to give you the situations intentionally where if an opponent decides to throw out an option after these setups, they will get punished. You get a free whiff punish scenario. So the first one I want to start talking about is the classic Terry spacing trap. I see a lot of Terry players who like to go for this medium punch, heavy punch target combo, right? It leaves you in pretty good spacing, and it's honestly, it's not entirely safe. I don't know if a lot of people know that. The thing about this move is it's cool because it frame traps and stuff like that. But if the opponent decides to go for, I don't know, maybe a crouch medium punch or something, assuming that they're close enough, then you know, if you space it out correctly, you can punish them, stuff like that, right? This is the classic. I think this is the one that most people start with when they're learning this character. They just see one player do this and they're like, oh, that's pretty cool, right? The thing that I think a lot of new Terrys struggle with is they struggle with their spacing on this move. The reason why the spacing is so important on this move is that if an opponent is aware of how this, you know, target combo works, they know that if you're too close with this, you can be pretty easily punished. Now that crouch medium is not going to kick it, but what you actually can be punished with is, let's see, I'm going to make him walk up. All right, say he does it too close. You can get a little conversion off, and obviously that's a Terry specific conversion, but all I need is a 5-framer. He's minus 5 frames there. So if he doesn't space himself out appropriately, then he could be punished. So I know a lot of people know about this exact spacing setup right here in this frame trap. I just wanted to share with you guys, if you're new to the character, make sure, pay attention to your spacing, and try your best to hit it right on the outside of this range. That is going to be your best way to get this off, and to make sure that, you know, the opponent is not able to punish you. So, yeah. This next one is something that I haven't exactly seen any players do. I'm sure they do, but I didn't pick it up from that. I was just experimenting with his buttons, and I found that light punch into light kick, if spaced appropriately, can lead for a really good spacing, especially in situations like the corner where you're walking up and the opponent thinks that there's not really much you can do to give yourself, you know, like pushing yourself far away. Because, for instance, a lot of times you're walking up close to hit this stuff, because light jab is not super long, right? So you got to get a little bit close. But if you can find this range right here, right on the edge of the light punch, and right after your light punch hits, you can go for a light kick. I believe it's right. Oh, let me find it. Boom. No. There it is. If you go for this spacing right here, the thing that's so strong about this is that if the opponent, I currently have them set to crouch medium punch, but who's really going to crouch medium punch here? Let's be real. Someone's trying to get out of the corner. They're feeling desperate. They see you trying to back yourselves up. They're probably going to go for a crouch medium kick. And the reason I chose Terry here is because Terry does have one of the best and furthest reaching crouch medium kicks in the game. And even if you space this appropriately right here, you can get right out of the range. Now this is so strong because if you know it's coming, you can get more than just like a crouch medium kick. A lot of the standard spacing traps you'll see allow you to get like a light kick, you know, low light kick conversion, something like that, or low medium kick. The thing that's so strong about a lot of Terry corner stuff is that if you can react fast enough to any button that's coming out, as long as it's not like a light button or something like that, then you can get a heavy kick and get a crazy conversion off it. So yeah, I think this spacing setup is really strong, and it's honestly just pretty useful just for spacing yourself out against the opponent if you can't open them up in certain situations. Because even mid-screen, I think this works pretty well. And you can mix it up, you know, a little bit of light jab, and then every once in a while throw in the low light kick in there. And even mid-screen it works, see? So I think this is a good option. Obviously, if the opponent knows that you're doing this too much, they might try to jab in between these two normals. Let's see if they can. So obviously this is the other thing, right? If the opponent is mashing or they happen to be aware that light punch and a light kick is not entirely real, they might jab out of it, but I'm not gonna lie, that is pretty rare. I genuinely don't see a lot of players getting out of stuff like this that's only like 1 or 2 hits. I think it's more common for like medium punches and stuff like that for people to see and go, okay, it's my turn, you know, I'll take my turn back. But with lights, it's a little bit more sketchy because obviously you can string another light together. So yeah, if you find that an opponent, you're trying to go for this and opponent starts jabbing, then you can start punishing them by jabbing back with your light, right? And then hitting them. So yeah, make sure you don't get destroyed by someone just mashing doing this if you want to use this spacing trap. But yeah, I think it's a really strong sequence that can leave you in a good spot. And yeah, this next one I want to talk about is mainly in the corner as well. This is one that I started doing and I didn't even realize I was doing it exactly, which is obviously a long poke option, right? You want to poke, you know, especially someone's in the corner. You want to stress them out a little bit, maybe do some drive damage and test if they're blocking low. I was doing this option right here where I was crouch medium kicking in the corner, and I didn't even realize, but it actually, if you notice Terry's animation, after he hits this, he bounces back a little bit. So after he does the crouch medium here, obviously like mid-screen spacing, it's not as obvious. You know, you could hit this at the edge, and if someone tries to go for low forward, you know, they might be able to get close, but they're not going to hit you. But in the corner, I genuinely feel like it's even crazier. Like he literally just goes back a little bit, and it's really cool. So obviously you can see what I'm doing right here. If you hit this normal pretty far away, and you find that the opponent likes to try to take their turn back after, you can get a heavy kick. Obviously, look, we talked about, you know, if you're reacting, you just want something that reacts really fast, then, you know, you can do crouch medium kick as well and get a little conversion. But your goal really is to get heavy kick whenever you can. I mean, obviously this is your big punish button. It, you know, can deal a lot of damage, and also if they block it, you're still doing a ton of drive damage as well. So yeah, I would recommend trying to find setups where you can specifically get into heavy kick, but obviously not every single situation is going to work that way. So yeah, one of the last ones I want to talk about was actually one that I forgot about, which also has to do with the button that we talked about earlier, which is your heavy kick. This is something that I forgot about, but heavy kick actually, yeah, definitely can be used to space and trap the opponent away. Medium kick, obviously, as an option, it does this, you know, like a lot of poke medium kicks do this option, but I genuinely feel like Terry's, unless you're doing this like perfect spacing right here where you kind of still look like you're in range, it doesn't feel that worth it to me, especially now with people being aware that medium kick is DIable whenever they see this option. I think a lot of people are going away from this option for poke and more going for medium punch because you can cancel in a drive impact. So for instance, I think the option that you're going to probably want to use a little bit more in this situation is probably going to be your heavy kick. Heavy kick's just a good option to throw out in neutral anyway if you're up close, because like I said earlier, you're doing a ton of drive damage right there. That's half of an entire bar. So this is not a bad option to be throwing out, and you can kind of use it to fish for whiffs, because obviously if they are to whiff something, you know, and you have heavy kicks sitting out there, boom, ton of damage, right? So the way that this one works is it's incredibly simple, but it just takes a little bit of practice. It literally just needs to be this perfect range. Now I'm not getting it there. Oh, we're close. There is a specific range at the edge of, there it is. There's a specific range at the end of this heavy kick. I'm not talking. Where if you hit on the edge, they will whiff. I think this heavy kick goes a lot further than a lot of people think. So that the spacing is, it's about in the spot, I think, where it kind of looks like it's going to whiff. That's the only thing that's a little sketchy about this, is that if you don't have this spacing down and you whiff, obviously you might get punished. So This one's good, but I saved it for the end because I wanted you guys to know that it's useful, but it really does require that you have the perfect spacing for this one. If you just get it right at the edge, nope, is that it? Yeah, right there. This one's really good, and I think, can you get another heavy kick? You might be able to just get another heavy kick at the end. Yeah, you can. Wow, that's really stupid. So yeah, this one's pretty useful, but overall, I think a lot of the other ones are probably going to be a little bit more useful when it comes to just spacing yourself out in neutral, but definitely doesn't mean that this one's not useful. It's just a little bit more difficult to get. Still doesn't mean that you shouldn't be throwing out heavy kick. You're still getting a ton of drive damage here, and you can use it to fish for whiffs and stuff like that. So it's definitely still an option you want to throw out. Just take a little bit of time practicing it before you try just throwing out a normal after, you know, because if you're just trying to do it automatically with not even reacting to their normal, you might get smoked. There's a few different options that I wanted to share with you guys. I do have some other guides as well, Terry related. I do intend to make even more for you guys. We have a Terry spacing trap guide. This guide right here specifically, I wanted to go into some of the normals that you can press and obviously like target combo stuff that you can use to set yourself up into some pretty good spacing. But I do have a video that I made previously, which is a spacing trap setup on Terry, which I will put on the screen right now if you guys want to check that out. I'll also have the link in the description. But other than that, I hope this helped you guys. If you guys have any questions or anything to add, any critiques, let me know down below. Until then, I'm out of here. So I appreciate you guys. I'm gone. Peace.